watching Morning at NTV.
Into the 8 o'clock hour, you are ready for Kickstarter, I believe. My name is Priscilla Fredrina Naloga. Continuing on with the affairs of the day that get to trickle down into the decisions that you have to make for the rest of the day. Ministries department missing out on budget appropriation. Now, the government ministries, departments and agencies are likely to miss out on budget appropriation for failing to submit their plans and budgets to the Equal Opportunities Commission for Gender and Equity Assessment. Now, according to the Uganda budget cycle, this exercise is planned to see the Commission study all plans and all budgets of government departments, government ministries and agencies to find out whether they cater for all the vulnerable categories. Joining me for more details to this conversation is Mr. Habib Seruwaji. You're most welcome, Mr. Seruwaji.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so allow us to first understand what's the purpose and significance of this exercise.
Well, I would like to say good morning to you viewers, and thank you for hosting me. My name is once again Seruwaji Habib. The Equal Opportunities Commission is mandated under the law to assess these budgets. That is under the Public Finance Management Act 2015, that is Section 9, subsection 6. So we look at these budgets and look at our constituents. Our constituencies are those that are vulnerable people. The youth, the elderly, the women, the men, those that would not have otherwise benefited if we kept quiet, if the law kept quiet. So normally when the budgeting process starts, we normally look at the budget programs and see whether the gender and equity element has been considered, has been catered for, so that our people don't miss out. That is why, because that's part of discrimination and marginalization, if they are not catered for. And our mandate as a commission is to fight, to make sure that all these imbalances that exist that bring about discrimination are put away with. So our mandate as a commission is to make sure that we look at these programs, make sure that our people, the vulnerable people, because they are all taxpayers, they all contribute towards the economic growth of our country. So we want to make sure that when programs come, like possibly Myoga, these other programs that have been coming up, the PDM and all that, we make sure that the component of the youth, the component of the PWDs, elderly, women, they are all catered for and considered. And that is why actually we start from the policies and plans. When Parliament is enacting a law, we first look at it. We look at the law, whether it's not discriminative in nature, whether it considers, you know, discrimination or marginalization, they come from policies, they start from policies. So when you don't keenly look at these policies, then you get a problem, you find your people have been excluded. So as Equal Opportunities Commission, we are telling government agencies on instructions of the Treasury instructions that guide us, that you're supposed to bring your budget framework papers, because the first budget call circular was released on 15th of September. And on paragraphs 76 and 77, it clearly stated that these institutions have to, the accounting officers have to forward to us these budget framework papers. Because the budget framework papers are now, when they are submitted, then now the budgeting process is starting.
So the circular comes out on 15th September, giving these departments, agencies, a gap of 2 months to submit so that you're in time of the assessment to kickstart in November 15th, right? And supposed to run for a month. But as of the press conference that you held yesterday, only 2 had been submitted. So what was the purpose of the press conference yesterday in regards to the submission of the framework papers through these programs for assessment?
Yeah, well, sometimes our people need to be reminded. Some of our colleagues need to be reminded that this has not been done. Other times you find that actually some of the accounting officers know that their officers have worked out this and possibly they have sent, because sometimes you can't really fully blame them since they have quite a number of issues on their desks. So it was a reminder and a call to our people, accounting officers in different government agencies and ministries, to make sure that what is supposed to come to us, all the budget framework papers should come in. And then, because when you delay, then we get complications in assessing, because there is no way we can assess something we don't have. So it was a call and a reminder to accounting officers, program heads, working groups, to bring the budget framework papers, because when you look at the deadlines in the calendar of budgeting process, we are supposed to submit by 15th of December.
So, Mr. Serwaji, why didn't you make this press conference in October so that it propels them to be in time for the assessment to start in November?
Well, we have had quite a number of challenges as government, most especially on financial issues, where the money trickling in is not really enough for government to be able to do all the work at the same time. So sometimes we've been waiting, holding on, that possibly by the time finance releases some money to us, then, but finally finance has done its part now. And so we are now saying, we have assembled teams because we are now remaining with about 8 days to submit, and we have to hit the deadline, because this is our mandate and it's an obligation, and according to the law. So we did not do it in October because there are quite even some challenges government had as a government.
So we are seeing backlog from different supports to the kind of work that you expected to do. Okay, as of the press conference yesterday, you did have 2 programs that had made submissions. Looking at them here: legislature oversight and representation under Parliament, as well as community mobilization and mindset change under the Ministry of Gender. Ever since the press conference, it's been hours now, have there been any other submissions that have been made?
Actually, after the press conference yesterday, I must say that the media is a powerful tool, and when you aired out at 1 o'clock about the press conference, we got quite some people, some agencies brought in their budget framework papers. And so many calls came in, and they were saying today and tomorrow they'll bring everything to us so that we are able to carry on with our mandatory duty. Okay,
all right. I saw you walking in with a list of defaulters. I don't know if that's something you want to address. But during the press conference, you did point out that government programs had not yet submitted. And so what is the effect of this delay, and what reasons are behind that delay? And looking at the timeline, are you still going to be working within the 8 remaining days to make the assessments?
Yeah, that is why I have said that we have quite assembled a number of teams so that they can help us in the assessment, so that we can do this assessment.
So that's extra manpower?
Yeah, extra manpower, so that we can do this assessment and then we hand it in time. These other accounting officers of different agencies that have not brought, possibly they also had challenges that we also had. And everyone...
What are some of the challenges that...
the challenge
stretch across a number of entities? Financial
releases. That's the only challenges that we now face in government, that the financial releases to do work sometimes delay, and so this delays work. But we believe that we shall meet the deadline once all of them come in. We have already started doing some work. And we believe that if we have everything by close of today, then we'll be able to meet our target.
Okay, all right. At the end of the day, this gets to affect implementation of some of these programs. Now, let's just have a reflection to maybe the last 2 assessments that you have done as the Equal Opportunities Commission in regards to ensuring that all the categories are covered: women, the PWPs, persons with disabilities, you do have the older persons, you do have the minority groups in there, the ethnic minorities in there. In the last 2 assessments, has there been improvement, or there's need to improve?
Well, As a commission, we normally look at the way the program is starting. The moment we look at how the program is starting, we make sure that our categories of people have been catered for. And well, in the last 2 years, we have quite seen a lot of improvements, because most of the people, even those programs that did not have the vulnerable people catered for in there, at least we have pushed them to have them there.
What were some of those programs?
Some of those programs, there are quite many. Government has quite many programs that are centered around the districts, and they were for all people, not specifying that only, I mean, this percentage should go to the youth, the PWDs, and so you'd find that most of the policies were quiet on that. So what we did is to review the policies and then make recommendations to government and say no here, because we normally look at these policies and programs, and after we have put in our people, we follow up down to see whether actually what we put in, our people have benefited. Like now, in the PDM, now it has started. We are moving all over, seeing which categories of groups have benefited.
And this is per parish?
Yes, per parish.
Okay.
And we, of course, we don't move per parish in the whole country, but we get selected because of financial constraints, but we get selected parishes. We could go to about 50 or 100, and then we see, have our people benefited? How many people are in this group, the PWDs? So the entire parish has no anyone of PWD, of disability, has no elder here. So why is this group only for? Why aren't the women balanced with the men? So we look at quite to see that our people are really catered for well in all these government programs.
Okay. Parish development model, you brought it up. And from your visits here and there as the commission, do you say that so far they've been able to attend to these special categories of people?
Yes, they have been able to attend to most, of course not 100%, but at least they are trying, and we are trying to help them. When this PDM started, that is last year, the commission, as a commission, we are mandated to come with guidelines on every government program on how the vulnerable people, the marginalized people, the discriminated people can be part of that program. So the Equal Opportunities Commission was the first agency in government to come up with these guidelines, and we distributed them all over to make sure that our people are not left out. So accordingly, as of now, our people are really quite taken care of, and we are happy with the progress of the PDM, although there are quite still some challenges, but for the organization and prosperity on inclusive development, we are really happy.
Again, the word challenges comes up, and so minus financial challenges, what are the other challenges that have come up?
You know, with our program like PDM, it needs a lot of sensitization. Our people seem not to have fully been sensitized, but I hope the local government and Ministry of Finance, the leading ministries for the implementation, they have quite tried to come up with the programs and processes on how they are going to talk to these people, so that they make them get to know, understand the program, they get to accept. You know, when you're starting a program, you must first understand it, get to believe in it, get to know it, and that is when you can be successful in the program.
Okay, as the Equal Opportunities Commission, you're doing your due mandate, but let's reverse it a bit to the persons that you are targeting to ensure that they are catered for in these different government programs. On their side, do they feel like they are included? Do they feel like they are being attended to? And by attended to, I'm talking about things like sensitization on their side. Do they receive that sensitization, and do they actually use it to their advantage so that they push themselves to benefit from the programs?
Well, you know, the mandate, one of the mandates is to, when we are talking of a vulnerable person, as a commission, we have a mandate to see that that inequality that exists is lowered. And so we are mandated to actually train the people, to go to our vulnerable people, to go to the elderly people, to the youth, to the women, and tell them that you people, there is a government program coming. You're supposed to be beneficiaries. You have this quite of percentage in it. How are you going to get into this to benefit?
Yeah.
You're going to organize yourself in this and this, and these are the steps, okay? And so we are possibly leaving you with a person to help you go through, because these are vulnerable. They should be helped right from inception. So when we look at when we tell them, when we train them and tell them that this is how you're going, because when these other agencies come, they will train the entire group. They will not know that there are some people with special needs that need special care and attention for them to benefit.
And that's where the gap is. One of the gaps is right there, because they will make a public call out and they will not specify those that are being targeted in the programs. And so the public will come exclusive of those that are, are intentionally targeted for some of these percentages in the breakdown of the program. So how can we bridge that gap?
The best way to bridge that gap is to train our people. The more the training, the more the awareness, the more they sensitized, that is the best way that we can bring our people on board. All this goes back to financial challenges that we are faced with today. But I hope that as the economy goes on, then things will be better.
Will be better.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Now, as the commission, if what happens to those that do not submit in time?
Well, the law is quite very clear on those programs that for budget framework papers who don't come in and submit their papers. That means possibly they don't want a budget. Because the first thing they will ask you in Parliament is to see whether your program, when you go for parliamentary appropriation, they'll first ask you where is the certificate of gender and equity on your programs. So the moment you don't have it, then they want to approve your program, because all these members of Parliament you see are representing Ugandans. They are representing different categories of people. So how do you go in front of them and tell them that I am here for you to give me a budget, but I've not included your people in your constituencies? So this cuts across. And also, the moment you discriminate some people, it can bring in political violence. You know, these people have been striking. It is because they see there is discrimination against them. Something is being done for one, that is now, it goes to political discrimination. This political activity has been done here, but we cannot do it here. And so people come up and start fighting and all that. So it also, so when we are handling matters of the vulnerable people, we need to be careful. That is why we are saying that let us do things in time. And we are encouraging other accounting officers. Let us try and make sure that we do things in time so that we are able to cater for all our people. Doing things in a rush way can bring a problem. For instance, we are looking at, the Commission is supposed to work with Ministry of Finance, advise the Ministry of Finance on issuance of the gender and equity certificate.
Right.
So, if we don't make a proper assessment, then that means our people...
Finance will not make a proper disbursement.
Yes, then our people will be affected.
Okay, all right. It's definitely a joint effort to ensure that at the end of the day, every single Ugandan, regardless of their capacity and capability, catered to. So after the assessment is done, in these remaining 8 days, then you'll make the recommendations. What other ways is the Commission deploying to ensure that these minority or vulnerable groups or special groups are continuously catered to?
You know, in the Commission we have a court of social justice, and this court normally helps the vulnerable people. And we have quite dispensed a lot of so many cases that where our people have been helped. We have some ethnic minorities in Kiriandongo. They were told, they went for national IDs, they were told they are not Ugandans. And we had to sit in that case, and the commission came out with a ruling that actually that was a minority ethnicity group, which was Uganda, and they were Ugandans. So it is from that time that now they started accessing government government services. They got national IDs. They started engaging in various government programs, and we are keenly helping them because they are part of us. So we've done quite a lot of things regarding on how these imbalances can always be wiped out. The other thing was the recommendations by the Commission on salary discrepancies in government. The Public Service Ministry is working on it now. The other one was duplication of government service. So the Commission is really looking at so many things to make sure that the inequalities, the imbalances, and every person, by the way, whether rich or poor, you can't be marginalized.
True.
The more you grow old, you could be a billionaire and 90 years old, and your children might decide to put you from and take you to a home and sell your properties. You are not part of decision making. That is marginalization. And we stand there for those people. We make sure that our people, the vulnerable people, are also part of us. They are part of inclusive development, and we must cater for them, care for them, and see that actually they are living in a Uganda that everyone wants to live in.
Okay, all right. And then therefore begs the question, what other things that have been discovered through this assessment that you have been doing for these different entities that you now want to deliberately work on moving forward so that you bridge the gap of marginalization?
Well, there are quite a number of things that we normally look at when we are assessing, and actually some of our assessments, we have locked out some government agencies and said, no, you don't meet, because our pass mark is 50%, and we have said, no, you don't meet the 50%. For you to be able to meet the 50%, go and do this ABCD. Go and clean your house. The institution shouldn't be organized this way. Go and reorganize. Go and do this. And that is why the budget starts actually in December, in September. That's why the first budget call circular came out in September. So it came out in September to give us time, to give everyone time. If there is a problem within the budgeting process, then it can be corrected so that the entities can get their budgets approved.
Okay, all right. In your closing remarks, Mr. Sseruwagi, what's the way forward?
Well, the way forward is basically one that we are calling on all agencies, accounting officers, working groups, program heads to submit to the Equal Opportunities Commission the budget framework papers. You are part of government. You saw the first budget call circular that was released on 15th of September. And when you look at the paragraph 76 and 77, it clearly shows that you're supposed to bring those budget framework papers for us to enable us to assess the gender and equity and how you've complied with it. So we are calling upon all of you, those that have not brought the, and we are very, in a special way, let me thank Parliament of Uganda under the leadership of the Right Honourable Speaker, Right Honourable Among. Is it Anita Among? Yes. It was the first actually to submit the budget framework paper because they really know the law and they look at it keenly and they are the owners of the law. Yeah. And also I'd like to thank our mother ministry, Ministry of Gender, Labour and Socio-Economic Development. I mean, Labour, yes, Ministry of Gender. Because they are the only two entities. When the the call circular was released, they immediately worked on their things and they responded. So I'm calling upon all other agencies, kindly let us work as a team and see that we get through all these processes so that we are able to help all our Ugandans, all our people, all our categories of people, so that they are able to benefit in the country that we live in. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Serwaji Habib, who is sitting on the Equal Opportunities Commission for that call to action. And we trust that everything will fall through in time within the 15th of December. Now, speaking of time, we're going to be taking a break. But when we return, Stephen Bida is on ground and he's going to be talking to public transport operators. As you know, earlier on, we